Good afternoon, this is Jeff with Sewer Tech Northwest. Today we're at property address 1495 Southwest Apperson Street here in McMinnville. We are low, and I describe everything as if you're standing in the street facing the front of the house. We are about halfway across the front of the house here to the right of the door. The cleanout lines up perfectly between these two windows here. We got a 3-inch ABS cleanout. We're going to check the overall condition and serviceability of the sanitary sewer line. Water's running. We're going to zero out. This is actually my having a heck of a time here getting my video files. I've already been down this line once. I'm doing a re-recording right now so the video file saves properly. Transitioning here to 4-inch 3034 PVC. So what we're going to see here in just a moment, mostly re-recording this to show one thing here in particular. I'll run the camera all the way out here and drain the line out so you get a complete video, but the line transitions over to well, it goes from PVC back to ABS, and then immediately after that to concrete, which is an unusual thing to begin with. Normally, what you have is a steady stream of pipe material changes. You're not switching back and forth. It's an indication here. Here's where we're switching back to, it's either ABS or HDPE, and then into concrete. And as far as I can tell, it looks like we're going to 6-inch concrete here. So we're going to revisit that joint here in just a moment. I'm just going to push all the way out. The line goes out and terminates on Southwest Apperson, and the line here basically runs dead straight the whole way. Alright, we'll start pulling back in here. So anyway, what's concerning about this spot here, you know, on its own, you've got an offset. Not the worst offset in the entire world, and luckily it's in a fashion where you don't have a lip in the flow line as flow goes to hang stuff up. What's concerning about it is that, and I eyeballed this spot before I even started locating, I was worried that this was over the top of it. Right next to the for sale sign, just before the sidewalk, there's kind of a gravel spot between the grass and the sidewalk area. There is a very obvious cave-in in the ground, and I don't know if it's, so here's what I'm kind of guessing has happened here. So you can see you've got some settling that's occurred. My concern is that joint could be open to the ground there. You've got some schmaltz there on the right side that does have the appearance of dirt, and by and large most stuff, even a toilet flush moving through this line, is not going to get up much above about an inch or so above the flow line, or above, you know, the bottom of the pipe, especially at 30 feet out. The water spreads out pretty good by that point. So the significance of that is I don't, you know, that could be human waste or gunk that's come from the sewer line. That has more of a dirt appearance to it to me. I've been doing this 13 years and cameraed 25,000 sewer lines. That's how that's looking. It looks more like dirt to me. Anyway, what the other concerning thing is this location here. When I park the camera right here, it is absolutely smack dab underneath that cave-in. It's about 16 to 18 inches of settling. It's significant and very obvious. So my concern is that you have a joint here that could very easily or likely be open to the ground, and it's sucking all the dirt out from over top of it. And I've seen it before. And what happens a lot in these circumstances, this is right about where the right-of-way is. In fact, there's utility markings going straight across it. You ever get a company coming through here that's boring in with a directional drill fiber internet? If they get their depths wrong, I've seen it about 15 times over the last 13 years. Someone runs a drill right through the side of the pipe, blows it to pieces, and they have to fix it. And in the process of fixing it, if they don't button all that stuff up right, compact the ground properly and everything, that joint opens up. That's the concern, is you've got hydro erosion going on there potentially, where that joint is allowing dirt to seep into the line. And it's about 4 foot 6 inches deep there, is what I'm getting. And I've marked that with a green X. You'll see it right where that spot's caved in. So I would start by calling the city to see if they are responsible in that location or not. Or I would try and figure out what's going on there. The fact that you've got that random piece of ABS pipe between the PVC and the concrete, that's an unusual configuration to have that. Generally what you'd have is just PVC up until you get to the transition to concrete pipe. So that has the appearance that line got damaged there at some point. under some kind of process. I'm not sure what caused it. My guess is a utility install, if I were to wager one. And then someone tried to fix it. So, I mean, it's also possible it's due to just, you know, someone didn't put the same amount of dirt back in that they excavated out. I'm not sure why that would happen necessarily. But the other concerning thing that kind of tells the story is generally when you get good old-fashioned settling due to uncompacted soil with a sewer line, what you'll often have, if you get a line that's, let's say it's settled 2-3 inches and you've got a 2-3 inch deep belly, the ground above it often will show about the same amount of settling, 2-3 inches, sometimes none. In this case, you've got probably about an inch or so of settling, but the ground above it has settled significantly more than that. And that's what concerns me, is that it's the amount of settling above it is considerably more than what the line has done. And that is also, or can be anyway, an indication that it's open to the ground. This time of year is a hard time of year because it's been so dry. You're not always going to see evidence. You know, often when you got a spot like that that's allowing stuff to flow through it, you have pretty obvious signs of it, especially during the rainy season, where the ground's always saturated with water, and it's under hydraulic pressure, and it pushes that stuff through the joint. You'll often have dirt streaking going down the sidewalls of the pipe. This time of year, you don't often have a lot of that, and we always have water flowing through the line, whether water's always coming into contact with it or not. Hot water will steam up, condensate on the top of the pipe. That puts moisture in there and allows stuff to get cleaned off the pipe wall. So anyway, it's right now, there's enough substance there on that right side of that joint that does have the appearance of dirt seeping through there in conjunction with the amount of settling. It's a spot I'm concerned is going to lead to progressive settling there with an open joint. And what that can also end up with, not just the ground above it caving in more, but if it starts hydro eroding the soil around the line, immediately it can cause that joint to progressively settle and become more and more offset as time goes on. So I recommend that spot be repaired there. If it does get fixed, I recommend rescoping to check the work. And you want to do that after the trench is closed to make sure you catch any settling problems that occur. That joint, for instance, is a good example of that. It probably looked fine when the trench was open. It's not till you put weight on it that you're going to catch any of that stuff occurring. So it's important to do that. First and foremost, though, I'd put a call into the city and find out where they take responsibility for the line. That may very well fall into their territory. It might not, but it would be good to try and understand the story that occurred there. There might be a record of something occurring with a contractor that damaged something, and if it was a contractor that damaged it and you know, unfortunately did not do a proper repair on it, you might be able to get them to come back and correct it. It's also possible it could be cities. So either way, I'd like to see it corrected to make sure that doesn't cause any problems. Aside from that, everything else we just scoped there, all of it is in good shape, has good flow, very clean sewer line. And as it sits right now, as far as just plain old flow goes, the line is functioning actually quite nicely. The amount of offset that's occurred there is not the kind that's just going to easily cause blockages. You've lost probably, maybe an inch or so of diameter top to bottom. You still have 4 inches of width there. So it would take a good size item going down line to block up in that location. It would be something that would probably block in the 3-inch pipe long before it got there. So it's not so much a concern as flow and function as that relates. It's a structural integrity issue that I'm concerned about. That's why I'm recommending the fix on it.